But football's become soft like our country has become soft.
And so having said that, I want me some glory hole.
I'm going to drink a lot of Budweiser tonight, Tracy, and I promise you that.
Hello? You play to win the game.
I hate football!
They're like, Pat, how'd you punt so well today? I'm like, good question.
Did you realize that you were a champion in their eyes? Yes, I did.
Well, happy Columbus Day, AJ. Happy Columbus Day, Pat. I know a lot of people think he's a genocidal maniac now and we shouldn't honor him, but my personal belief is I'm all for having a holiday for anybody that will get everybody a paid day off so that they can listen to more podcasts and stay up late watching the Sunday night games. How was your weekend, fellas?
I just like the fact that you're 100% on board with genocide if this podcast gets a couple extra listeners because old Christopher Columbus. That's what I heard. And I like the dedication to the art here. I like that a lot, Jerry. Happy Columbus Day to you.
Jerry, do people with normal jobs actually get Columbus Day off of work?
Federal.
Really?
It's federal, really? How long until that gets taken out?
Listen, again, I'm all about. I remember the debate over Martin Luther King Day and whether that should be a holiday. I was like, who are these people that don't want a paid day off? Are you insane? Like, I would have.
What type of white racist are you that you're so mad against Martin Luther King? I want to work. I don't want a paid day off.
Exactly.
He had a dream for himself, not for me. That's fucking wild. I love holidays. I think there should be more holidays. But old Christopher Columbus, his name has been quite tarnished here in recent date due to historical facts being overturned.
Yeah, but you know what? Your Italian friends don't want to hear him be besmirched. He's a saint. There's a big thing in the north end of Boston every year. It's any excuse to celebrate stuff and day drink and consume more football entertainment like this, I'm all about. Speaking of consuming football entertainment, Pat, you were at Ann Arbor this weekend?
Yes, I was. Go blue. Go white. Go blue. Go green. Go white. Go blue. Yeah, I was up there, man. I had a good time. I'd never been in Ann Arbor before. It makes so much sense, though, why people act the way they do if they come from the University of Michigan. Every house was a mansion. Every kid seemed to be wealthy. They were having a great time up there. It was like, if you're rich, you're going to be intelligent normally. So if you're uber rich and you're not super smart, you go to Michigan. If you're uber rich and super smart, like you just go to Harvard. So it's like, it's just one or the other. I felt like I was surrounded with wealth and the kids were just partying their fucking asses. I was partying with Wilton Spate at one point. You know, the quarterback broke his back last week. The starting quarterback, he was out with us. Guy just living his dream. Ann Arbor was a great time. And then that game turned into a torrential downpour hurricane. Michigan State comes out with the win. 8 of the last 10. Real big moment in Ann Arbor. I had a blast, though. You ever been up there, Jerry?
I've not had the pleasure, never been to Michigan, and there's a hole in my life shaped exactly like college tailgate scenes. Yeah. Like we don't have them in the Northeast. We really don't. I mean, I've been to Notre Dame. That's sort of subdued, that kind of thing, and where it's just people live for this. They get their 5-6 games out of the year, and they just party their brains out. And I don't often use party as a verb, but I just did. I'm surprised that if they're that wealthy that they're that much into it, or am I just stereotyping?
This is my first time really tailgating as well. I never really enjoyed a good tailgate beforehand. And from Virginia Tech, which their thing was throwing beers to each other. They actually threw full beers at each other. Like, that was their thing. Like, they just threw beer at each other. It was a very interesting dynamic. It was out in the country in Virginia, all the way to Ann Arbor. These college kids these days, it doesn't matter what socioeconomic status you are turning up in college. That's all I've learned. And no matter where we go, we're going to Youngstown next week, and I think that place is going to be upside down. I have no idea. Columbus was insane. Iowa was insane. Louisville was insane. Everywhere has just been these kids are living their lives hard in college, and it's been a blast.
You've named it. I think tailgating it's a Midwest and a Southern thing. Both coasts, West Coast, East Coast, it's not nearly as big a deal as it is in the middle of the country. And in the South, SEC, they have some huge tailgates and crazy, I don't even know whatever kind of Southern food they make in their giant setups. But that's when you go, it's like you go to USC. Hogs. they could be undefeated and people are just kind of hanging out. And I think it's the same thing for the East Coast. I don't know why. Like, who would be the best East Coast college team right now?
God, if you're talking Northeast where I am, there's just nobody. You know what I mean? And that scene just doesn't exist. Like, I used to shoot video for the website of the radio station I used to work for. I used to just do like man on the street stuff, and did Harvard Yale, which was actually fun. But I mean, it's not exactly the most attractive people in the world, and they're all wearing like heavy coats and gloves and hats or whatever. So it's
Michigan got a bad rap about that too. Michigan, everybody makes fun of Michigan for that, I guess, because they're kind of smart kids. It was the crowd was a good time. In the Harvard Yale kids, there's a lot different intelligence going on, or attractiveness going on up there. Those brains are so sexy, it's out of control.
We got video of a guy puking his brains out. It was 10:30 in the morning, and I'm saying, so this guy is going to be like the Supreme, the Justice of the Supreme Court someday. He's going to be like policy at the Fed or whatever, and now he's just another guy who can't handle his morning vodka.
Oh, that's hilarious.
One time at BC, and I thought, well, this will be good. That's the the Holy War or whatever. There's a decent rivalry there, I guess. Spent 3 hours and got no useful footage. No one's funny. It's just tiny little parking lots or whatever. AJ, have you ever been exposed to any of those?
Those East Coast tailgates?
Like a really good one. I mean, obviously not when you're playing college, but have you ever gone to?
No.
Ohio?
Yeah, so I went back on when we would have our bye week, I went to a couple Ohio State games, and I don't know how many years ago. I was probably 4 or 5 years in the league, and I came back and I did the full go. I was like, I want to tailgate. At Ohio State, you stay at this hotel that's right there, right in the middle of and all of a sudden you wake up, you open your curtains, and there's already like 100,000 people outside at 7 a.m. tailgating. It's a huge deal. That's why they get 90,000 fans to watch the spring game, just because they want to tailgate in Ohio. Yeah, and so I went back and did it one time. Yeah, of course. And I did it one time, and the best thing was I went, and my buddy, his father-in-law owned this huge like tour bus, and so I just got to mooch off of them and hang out, and I ended up not even going to the game. My buddy, Doug, and we just sat in the bus and watched the game from the bus, and they got back after the game, all the adults, and they thought we had both been roofied and poisoned because we were not in the same state we were when they left.
Have you ever tried roofies? Not a bad drug.
No, so like that's a thing, guys roofie themselves. Doesn't it turn you into a zombie?
I have no idea. Janikowski was addicted to it there, I guess, for a little bit, which is an interesting dynamic. But hey, I don't want to rewind real quick, but like, is Doug's dad like a musician? He just has a tour bus just hanging around, just no big deal.
Father-in-law, not like a tour bus like you tour, but like it wasn't an RV, it was a legit bus, but set up for tailgating. So it was amazing.
So it was a tour bus?
There wasn't like 20 bunks in there, but yeah, basically.
AJ is so many rich friends. It's out of control.
Well, Pistol does not have a tour bus. Pistol he would go tailgate though, no question. Especially in college, he would go to all the games in the NFL. He had his own little tailgate, does his little victory shot thing where he has a routine where he makes a toast, and we have some of them on video. Maybe I'll sneak a few of those videos away from his phone and I'll show them to you guys.
Oh, Pistol getting lit for his kid. I love that. Hey, what is on your left ring finger there? 35?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
It's a tattoo.
It says 35?
Nope, it does not say 30. So my finger went sideways for a season. So after the year, they had to take a ligament out of my wrist and pin it into my finger. So I can't fit my ring finger on, or my ring on anymore. So I got a tattoo on there. It's not number 35 though.
What is it of? Can we ask?
There's some initials, and so it started out. I got this. I was in Green Bay. My wife was in Ohio when I actually got this. I didn't even tell her. But I
when
went in.
When did your wrist become your ring
finger?
When did that happen?
What's up?
When did your wrist become your ring? Like what? What? So your finger was sideways, and they decided to dig into your wrist to straighten that thing out?
No. So this finger, my ring finger, all of a sudden I looked down at the end of a game, and it was just it took a 90-degree turn and was flopping around. So whatever that ligament was, and I finished the year out, and then. Went in and got an MRI, and they're like, "Yeah, that's not you can't splint that. You need to figure it out." So I guess there's like a little ligament in your wrist that they can use for things. So they took it out, put it in my finger, bam, but it's still fat and doesn't feel great. So
Your ring finger was sideways.
And he finished the season.
Until after the game.
no, it was weird. Normally I noticed those things, but I looked down.
Normally I
was
notice
silent.
those things. I fucking hope so.
Oh, you have keen powers of observation when it comes to one of your digits like snapped in half.
He
Well,
says he's
yeah.
got no concussions. He said that with a straight face. He didn't even notice his fucking ring finger was sideways. What are we doing here?
Well, the problem was I went to some doctor in Ohio after the season. He's like, yeah, we'll just put a splint on there. If you wear the splint for 6 weeks, it'll be good. And then I was like, man, this isn't really feeling any better. And so then I went and saw an actual like hand specialist guy.
I bet you went to the coast. I bet you went to one of the coasts. That's what the coasts are good at. Doctors. The Midwest is good at tailgating. The coasts are good at doctors. You went to a coast doctor for that.
No, I went like 6 miles away to another doctor in Ohio.
But east.
But-
Though. You went east wherever you were. You went east.
Yeah, I went East Columbus. I went to
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, there's no ligament in there, man. The splint, you can wear a splint for 30 years. That thing's not going to straighten out, and it's still going to flop around." So yeah, he said, "Oh, don't worry. We'll take something out of your wrist and pin it and all this stuff." So bam, that's it.
AJ went to some horse doctor up the street.
Veterinarian. So what is on there?
Oh, so it was originally. I was like, so I'm not into the the astrology stuff. My wife's birthday's in July, and I'm like, I don't just want her initials on there or whatever. So I said, I'm going to get a Leo, I think is what, a lion. Is that right, Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I was like, I'll get a lion with like some initials. And all of a sudden they put like the little stencil on there. And I'm looking at it. I was like, man, that kind of looks like a hawk. And then he's like, yeah, it kind of does. I'm like, all right, well, I guess that works out cool. Then so it's kind of like a hawk lion with her initials in there.
So it's a griffin. A lion
griffin?
is a griffin.
It sounds
Bam.
like you have
It's
a
a griffin.
terrible
I've never
tattoo artist, though. If he was supposed to make a lion and that fucking thing looked like a hawk, I mean, he was way off.
No, he's actually legit. He's this dude named Rick in Green Bay that everybody people coming from all over to go to this dude. But the thing is too, so I'm so pale, pasty white too. I had to he had to go over like 5 times because he put it on and it would just disappear.
Can you show it to the camera right now? Where's this hawk lion? That was
Look, you can see his beak is right here, right there.
that was supposed to be a lion.
Yeah, he's
No, he had to resize it because it was big, and so when he shrunk it down, it turned into this other kind of a griffin, as I'm learning now.
Bro,
And
you
so I
just said
"Let's
people
do
were
it."
flying into Green Bay to get tattoos from this dude. That lion, there's not a lion to that.
I know it's a hawk, Pat. I told you we switched it.
if a can't draw a lion to look like a lion, so much so that he has to turn into a bird like fucking Bob Ross on the Magic of Oil painting. When
You shut your mouth when you talk about Bob Ross, but he
Well,
is.
when he made a mistake, he would turn it into a beautiful bird.
And I just said, he said, "Oh, I can go back and I'll redraw it and you can come back tomorrow." I was like, "No, man, I want to do this today." And so I said, "Put it on there." My last name is Hawk, in case you didn't know that, Pat. So I was like, "Hey, this works out even better, I guess."
I did know that. That's why I wonder why you didn't ask for a hawk to begin with. Instead, you asked for a lion that was supposed to be a happy lion, and then some happy clouds got into Rick's nose, and that shit turned into a fucking bird, bro. I'm just telling you, it looked nothing like a fucking lion. That is all I'm saying. Old Rick in Green Bay might have fucking people importing their asses in there to get tattoos, but if they're asking for lions, there's a good chance that thing's gonna fucking squawk like a fucking hawk. That thing looked nothing like a lion. That thing looked nothing like a lion.
It did originally, and then when they had to resize the thing to fit my finger, that's how it played out. So I went with it.
I'm glad you've got a better finger surgeon than a tattoo artist. Seriously. Crowd fund to send Brian Baldinger to your guy to do that with the wrist, because he's good. I like him. I like his videos more than I like him on TV, because I can't stand looking at that rubber, boneless thing on his hand. I can't unsee it.
Jerry, have you ever seen Anthony Munoz's hands?
Oh,
His are all like literally. He has like 3 or 4 that are just completely sideways. But once you go that far and you go that many years without doing anything, there's nothing. They can't really do anything to fix it.
That's like cauliflower ear, I feel like, for football. Like cauliflower ear means you're a badass wrestler fighter, and if you have crooked ass fingers, that means you've been through it. You know, in football, your fingers have been wrapped up in jerseys before and ripped into shreds.
Well, yeah, like my pinkies are both. They try to get. The problem is once you tear like the ligaments or whatever in there, you have to wear a splint. They try to put a splint on you. They're like, hey, you got to wear that for 8 straight weeks. And if you take it off for even 3 seconds, it's going to go back and it'll all be nothing. So keep it on. So each time I would try to put the splints on my pinky when it would happen, I'd wear it for about 2 hours. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, well, your wife was in Ohio. You were in Wisconsin with Rick. You had to pleasure yourself. You can't do it with a splint. The old splint dick would be a rough thing. You know what I mean? That's a rough situation.
Oh, you got to be ambidextrous on those things.
Go with a stranger, huh, Jerry?
Yeah, exactly. Use whatever hand makes it feel like you got lucky.
Even if it's not your hand, Jerry? Even if it's your buddy's hand?
Yeah, Jerry.
I have those relationships. No. If you have a friend like that, hang on to said friend.
Maybe you need to get lucky because it's week 6 and football season is in full swing, which begs the question, how's your fantasy football team doing, AJ?
Really, really good.
Jerry?
Getting my ass kicked on 2 fronts.
Oh,
my season-long fantasy teams are dying a horrible death before my eyes.
Well, maybe you drafted a dud in the 4th round, or your first-round pick is on the shelf with a bum knee already. Like, what? You didn't know that was coming. The good news is it's not too late to forget about the injuries and get back in the winning column with DraftKings 1-week fantasy football. This Sunday, DraftKings is hosting a $10,000 contest that is totally free to enter. With DraftKings, there are many ways to play. Choose between public contests with big cash prizes or private contests where you can compete against your asshole friends. DraftKings also has beginner and casual contests where you'll play against people of similar skill level. That means AJ doesn't have to battle against the wizard that is Jerry Thornton. He does not have to battle against people that are better than him. He just gets to play in his own set of skill level people. The best part is you get to draft a new team each week without any commitment. Get to DraftKings.com now and use promo code HIKE. On two, AJ. Ready. Say hike! To play in DraftKings free contest with $10,000 in total prizes this Sunday. That's promo code HIKE to compete for your share of prizes. The contest is totally free to enter. Why wouldn't you try? Why wouldn't you try? Compete now and get your share of $10,000 in total prizes. That's DraftKings.com, promo code HIKE, and compete for $10,000 in total prizes. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Well done, Pat. It was another bizarre and awesome day of football, but before we get into it, I want to give out some game balls. You guys up for that? Some game balls and some parts. Pat, go ahead. You got some?
Adam Vinatieri, game ball. Thank you. How's it going? Couple of 50-plus yard field goals, a 51-yard game winner. That game was all but lost and mismanagement and weird shit that went down. It gets into overtime. Peyton Manning's in the building. He throws a pass at halftime after having his hand under Jeff Saturday's ass to Reggie Wayne. The vice president gets up and leaves. Cool. Political stunt. Awesome. Peyton statue's happening. Nobody's going to talk about it in Indianapolis. Let's keep it moving. Adam Vinatieri steps up, wins 51-yarder. I love everything about it.
Hey, Pat, that's the thing, though. If Vinatieri is still hitting 50-plus yard field goals, why did you kick off when you were there?
Because it's reps. It's just extra reps on him. It was 100%. All he has to do is just focus on kicking field goals. That's it. Kicking off is the worst for your legs out of everything. Out of punting, field goals, everything. Kicking off is the worst because it's a crow hop fastball. It's a crow hop trying to throw it home every single time you kick off.
That's like your car crash. They say like every time a running back carries the ball, he's like getting in a mini car crash. So a kickoff was your car crash.
Yeah, because you're running at full speed to a dead stop to a full explosion and just ripping everything in your knees to shreds. But guess what? Adam Vinatieri gets to save those reps and keep kicking until he's forever because you got a young guy that'll take it over for him. You know, I'll take that for you. I'll do 3 surgeries for you, buddy. Don't worry about it. I'll fucking do it.
Harm's way then?
What's
like
that?
No concern about your health or whether by 2017 you'd be podcasting and crap?
Nope, nobody cared. Nobody cared. As long as Vinatieri just gets focused on kicking and doing what he does, and he'll continue to hit game winners forever because that's what he's the most clutch human in the history of professional sports. Get a couple young guys, kick off and punt, hold for him, and just keep it moving. I like Vinny a lot. The participation thing would have to go to Pence, Vice President Pence. It's in the same fucking game. I mean, it was just like Dave Letterman was there. Big time Dave showed up with his fucking beard. My man Mitch Daniels, former governor, now Purdue president. There was just so many people in attendance. Edgerrin James came back. Marvin Harrison was there. Bill Polian, Tony Dungy. You're talking about so many important people in the building when it comes to the world of sports. And then the vice president is there, which means there's so many Secret Service and admirals there. The Lucas Oil Stadium was locked down with so much money being spent. And then for it all to definitely be for a political stunt, I am not the biggest fan of that. I just don't. I hate bullshit, and I feel like that's bullshit. Like I was just I hate listen, I watch my reality TV. Okay, Teresa Giudice or whatever her name is, the Real Housewife of New Jersey. She goes to jail. I'm all about that type of drama. I'm all about it. But don't just be cooking up bullshit if you're not a reality TV star. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, and how about what they told reporters? Stay at the hell or whatever, or the bus, whatever. They said sit tight because the vice president's not going to be there very long.
This is a plan.
Exactly. It was all just completely staged, and that's not being partisan. That's just don't talk to me like I'm a frigging idiot. You know what I mean? Anytime politicians are like trying to interact with sports fans, because that's Joe Sixpack, and that's the guy, that's the great unwashed that you need to be able to relate to, Mr. Vice President. It always comes off as phony, and this was just a perfect example.
I had a chance to meet Pence before, shake his hand. He was a nice guy. He got a lot of heat in Indiana for some PR rollouts of some laws that he was initiating, and I always thought he was just a nice guy who had a bad rep, right? But today, this is just bullshit. Like, man, come on. Peyton Manning, the greatest Colt, and I'll say that, even though Unitas was a Colt. Peyton Manning, the greatest Colt of all time. Like, the reason why Lucas Oil Stadium is there, the reason why the Super Bowl came to Indianapolis, the reason why Indianapolis is Indianapolis. He's like, let's not make it about your bullshit right now. Like, I don't agree that they're kneeling anyway. I don't like that people are kneeling for the flag, but let's not make it about your bullshit right now.
But was it his decision, though, or was he sent by Trump specifically for that reason?
Well, even if that's the case, I don't like it. Like, at some point, you got to be like, hey, that's Peyton Manning's day, all right? Let's not fuck with old Peyton Manning's day, 18. He's the guy. Let's not fuck with the sheriff's day. Like, I feel like that should happen, That was his big day. His fucking name, his jersey got retired. His name's up in the rafters. That's a big fucking day. Whole place was packed for a 1-3 team, not for the team. I don't know whose banner's going up. If they lose a couple more games, I don't know who they're going to put up in the next couple of weeks to get people there. Everybody there was wearing 18 jerseys, though. I mean, it was for that. And then political stunt out of nowhere. I don't like it. I don't like it. Not one bit. Not one bit.
If it was the president's idea, if he was the puppet master with his hands up Pence's ass on that, it's still a stunt, and it's still transparent as hell, and it's insulting to our intelligence. We've had guys around here mangle the names of like athletes in this town that are huge. The old mayor of Boston calling Vince Wilfork Vince Wilcock, and calling Gronk, John Kerry talking about Manny Ortez from the Red Sox, and it's like, you're the only people in this town who don't know the athletes' names. Just stop trying to bullshit a bunch of bullshitters, and that's what Pence did. So yeah, good.
We're all too woke. We're all too woke these days. Like, I knew O.J. Simpson's press conference or paparazzi thing that was when he was driving home. I knew that shit was fake as soon as it happened. Ain't nobody running up on you and O.J. in the middle of fucking Memphis, Tennessee at a gas station truck stop. Ain't no paparazzi working there. If there's paparazzi, they would move to L.A., motherfucker. This is all fake, and it's all
Pat,
coming out to be fake.
On that O.J. thing,
yeah.
You know what's unbelievable? There's a lot of people that still think that's real. They think like, oh man, I don't know how did TMZ or whoever catch him in a gas station parking lot. I was like, are you kidding me? Did you watch the video?
Just be woke. Just one time. Just open your eyes. Let's think like maybe everything's set up and everything is a business. Let's just think that way one time, Jerry. Just one time, Jerry.
They were the people that were like protesting on behalf of Alex Rodriguez in New York City, and they all had signs with identical handwriting on them. And then somebody asked them, and they just admitted, yeah, we're just being paid. I don't know. Someone offered me money to stand out here and pretend like I give two shits about A-Rod. So yeah. Sorry, we're too sophisticated now. You can't pull this kind of PR
as a society.
crap.
I believe as a society we are, though, because a couple years ago everybody was very, very, what's that called? Like
gullible.
Gullible. That's a good.
Gullible.
Easy for you to say.
I think as a society, we were very gullible just a few years ago, but now everything moves so quick and everybody's trying to scheme and hustle everybody. I think everybody's just on to everybody. There could be something that happens right in front of somebody's face, and they will have 4 different possibilities of what they believe at that time. I mean, at all times, everybody's woke.
All right. Well, speaking of which, my game ball, I have to give it to Odell Beckham Jr. for
Game ball.
Yeah, just because he gave one of the great moments of all time, certainly of recent memory, when he's on the sidelines with a towel over his head, crying his eyes out, being spooned by the punter. Is that who it was?
Yeah, it's bad for the brand. Bad for the brand. Not good for the brand right there, Jerry. Not good for the brand. Brad Wing and he have been friends since college. They were hanging out at Drake's house in L.A. together last offseason. They're real tight. But that particular gif that is probably going to hit the internet forever was not good for the punting brand, Jerry. Not good at all.
What did he do? Beckham followed it up by catching a bomb behind the defense and then doing CPR on the ball. Okay, not the greatest, post-touchdown celebration, but pretty damn good. And then gets his leg blown out from under him. It was horrible to see. Like, I am no Giants fan, God knows. I still think that, Eli Manning's birth was the punishment for the sins of mankind, but the world is better when Odell Beckham is playing football.
Eli Manning's birth was the punishment for the sins of mankind. That's a deep hatred.
Oh yeah, it's bad, and we'll get to Peyton too, because I've got my axes to grind with him too. But instead, I want to get to someone who thinks they were putting something over on us today, and it was a pathetic attempt. Cam Newton walks into the stadium. Nice outfit, by the way. I kind of thought the outfit was on point, but he was wearing the a Rosie the Riveter pin. That one, the painting of like the woman making the flexing her muscle because she was building ships in World War, the famous poster. He was wearing that to show what, like all of a sudden he's enlightened and now he's fine with the ladies and they're his equals or whatever. And like, I don't know how you feel about him saying women shouldn't ask questions about pass routes.
Well, I don't think that's what he said. But I mean, that was an aggressive take there by a guy that would work in the mainstream media, what you just said. But I think.
No, I've said I don't know how you feel about it personally. I think women.
Yeah, but that wasn't
to
exactly what women shouldn't ask about. That's an incredible way to say what he said right there. I think you agree with that. You sensationalized the shit out of that.
Okay, yeah, I turn the heat up on that take a little bit more than maybe I. And I want to be clear. I support the women to ask those questions as long as they're being paid 78 cents on the dollar.
You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I celebrate diversity, Pat. But no, look, what he said was, yeah, it was dumb in 2017.
Dumb.
Come out, apologize, own it, move on. But wearing the pin to just sort of say like, I've had this life change in the last 4 days was just a blatant and pathetic attempt. AJ, what do you got?
Well, maybe he's trolling you, Jerry, and all the mainstream media saying, "Oh, look at me! All it takes is for me to make that weird video apologizing from something someone wrote a statement for him, and he had like a rambling 3-minute apology. I think that video was weird enough.
Yeah, not the way to respond to something that you said that was kind of dumb, but no one was harmed in this. You know what I mean? Like I used to have a woman boss who was convinced that anytime someone disagreed with her that they thought she should be home with making babies or whatever. We were like, no, like we didn't grow up like that. I don't think there are a lot of people out there that go through life feeling that way. And I mean, you guys had women in the locker rooms, right? That debate ended in around 1990.
If women should be there in the open locker room, you mean when guys are getting out of the shower and stuff?
And like 4 football generations have come and gone, not thinking that women have no business asking those questions. I don't think Cam Newton's going through life. I don't know what his point was, but I don't think he's sitting there going, shut up, honey, and go make me some sandwiches.
No.
Speaking
he
of,
didn't
I
handle
make
it
a
great.
great sandwich. Like I think I'm a top 5 sandwich maker. Like Jared Fogle would definitely have scratched me where I itched if he was like, if I made a sandwich for him, just for future reference.
I bet you Jared watches that pump, pass, and kick video of you, Pat, when you're on the field. I bet he watched that a lot.
I didn't even think about that till right
I
now.
wish I had that guy about 4 years earlier than that video.
Oh boy, I bet he did, didn't he? I bet he did.
All right, my game balls.
You know what?
My
Is that a compliment? Like, is that a compliment to me as a kid? If Jared
Of course, it's a yes.
Yeah, it's a compliment, right? Like if Jared Fogle would have watched the tape of me when I was a kid, like that's a I should feel good about that. Should I? I should.
You should be flattered.
I am. Yeah.
Pat, I agree with AJ. You're talking to a guy who, fit the profile of someone that a priest would have molested, and they never did.
So you feel like
maybe
disrespected a little bit?
I mean, I guess I just wasn't cute enough. But I was going to church, didn't have a dad. Like, I mean, really, that was like, I mean,
give me some holy water, Father.
Like the look.
It's amazing.
Yeah, well, my game balls. Here you go, Jer.
Every time you talk, I'm telling you, every single time you talk, I can't help it. I can't.
Baby, you a song, you make me wanna roll my windows down and cruise.
Okay.
AJ looks exactly like that guy. He does.
So probably, I think I might just nix my game balls since I've mentioned 4 times what I'm going to give my game balls to, and it's a stupid thing we do because Jerry brought it up. I love you, Jerry. So my game balls and participation ribbons, they're nixed. We don't have any for week 5 now. I've been cut off one too many times, so I'm done. I'm done, Pat.
Pat's got mad tonight, and you might as well explain why you're playing Florida Georgia line in the middle of the show.
AJ looks exactly like the guy. It's. I mean, I feel like everybody else has noticed this except for me, and I'm very upset that I didn't see it until right now. He looks exactly like the fucking talented one in the Florida Georgia. I don't know if he's the Florida or the Georgia, but the talented one, the one who sings. That's what AJ looks like, and Woody Harrelson, and it's just incredible. It's a spot on. Can you sing, AJ?
Yeah, I'm sure I can.
No game balls though, huh?
No, that's it. I had a couple.
What are they? Who are they for? Who are they for? If you were to have one,
it doesn't matter. I'm not going to mention them until what, week 6? Is it week 6 next week?
Yeah, fantasy football, DraftKings.
You'll hear about it next week, Pat. Don't worry.
Unbelievable, Jerry, that he's doing that to us. I don't think he was prepared. He didn't have one.
In a sad world that needs healing right now, AJ Hawk is refusing to give.
Actually, no. I'm not going to give my game ball. I'm going to give my participation trophy, and this one goes to. So this one it's kind of complicated. It goes to Jason Garrett, and the reason that I'm giving it to him, if you watch the Packers-Cowboys game, they just scored with too much time. If you're at some point, I know you can't give up. You can't say, "Hey, take a knee, don't score a touchdown." You have to get the points, but at some point, if you have more than 15 seconds on the clock, probably, and you give the ball to Aaron Rodgers, and all they need is a field goal, they're probably still gonna score a touchdown. But you gave the ball back to him with 1:13 left and 1 timeout. It was almost a guarantee that they were going to drive down and score. So I think before they ran that last read option that Dak ran beautifully, you got to tell them, like, hey man, if you're wide open and you're going to score, I don't know, somehow slide down at the 1 or something, and we will bleed some time off this clock because we cannot stop A-Rod in his 2-minute drill. We've seen it happen to us too many times. So I think somehow, although as a coach you take tons of heat if you end up not scoring, somehow you have to find a way to take a knee at the 1 and bleed some clock.
Oh, and how filthy was he on that final drive?
Oh,
yeah, the breaks a tackle, eludes the grasp of another one, tears up the sidelines, takes a hit on the sidelines. I mean, he didn't get crushed, but I mean, it shows how tough he is, and then throws a dime to Devontae Adams, who, by the way,
was dead.
Just got friggin' hurt locker. I mean, he spent the week in the concussion protocol and comes up with that. And you said it, AJ, with 1:13 to go, you said it's almost a given that they're going to score.
Yeah, if you notice what was cool about that last drive when they were, I don't know how long the last touchdown was to Devontae Adams, but he threw the first one in the end zone. And if you saw the DB, the corner could have made a nice pick and ended the game right there. He just didn't get his head turned around in time. So then the next time, I guarantee you, Aaron put that right in his head. He's like, all right, Devontae, they both knew. They probably didn't have to talk about it. Hey, man, we're going back shoulder up high next time because Aaron did not throw it like he wanted to, and the one that almost got picked. So then he just, perfect timing, puts it up there to where only Devontae can get it. When you go back shoulder like that, it's almost impossible to stop, especially in the coverage they were in when the corner was trailing inside leverage. You can't stop it. You really can't. So, like, that's a tiny little adjustment that I guarantee you they didn't have to talk about it. They just knew, hey, I'm coming back to you. I'm going back shoulder, up high, the corner. You're the only guy that can get this. Bam, game over. Another historic comeback.
After the game, A-Rod, is that what we call him as friends? If we're friends with him, AJ? A-Rod? We call him that?
Sure.
So after the game, A-Rod told Aaron Andrews that Devontae Adams came into the huddle and said, hey, let's go right back to it. He said that Devontae Adams actually said to him, let's go right back to it. So they actually had that real-life connection that you just called. So you're saying you're giving your game ball to Aaron Rodgers? Is that what he just said, Jerry? You heard that?
That was not a game ball. No. It wasn't a game ball because it's a given. A game ball is something that people go like above and beyond. That was just what they do. That's what Aaron does.
So who are you giving your game ball to?
I didn't give a game ball this week. I'm not doing it. Like I said, Pat, you cut me off 4 times. Therefore, I gave a participation trophy to Jason Garrett. Let's move on.
But you weren't going to even give a participation trophy before you gave one. So now I think we should just do the game ball. We might as well just do it. It's a part of our show. You should just deliver what it is, man. You should just say what all your research you did today. What's your game ball?
Pat, don't worry. We're just going to edit it in post. That's
Yeah.
all right. We'll just chop up with it about
Have Jerry do my voice. Okay, AJ, what's your game ball? Well, I'll tell you what. My game ball goes to Jay Cutler.
Is that who your game ball goes to?
We'd have you talk really slower and sound a lot less intelligent.
I don't know if you have a Boston accent or not, Jerry. You kind of do. I mean, you say wicked every once in a while just so you can sound like Affleck and Matt Damon in those movies they do about Boston. But you don't have like a true, like you don't have a real thick Boston accent.
See, I'm told I have it all the time. Like I think it's
Really?
horrible. I can't. Yeah, to the point where I hate listening to myself because I like in my head voice.
I can
I
understand
think I speak with like perfect diction. I'm like James Earl Jones, and then I hear myself and I go, I sound like every friggin' townie in the world.
I think you sound
Kind of
good.
like you remind me a little bit of Lawrence O'Donnell during his freak out.
Okay, you know what? Can we turn off the hammering, please? There's something in my ear. There's something in my ear. No, I've never been told I sound like Lawrence O'Donnell before, but I'll take that.
He has great diction, especially when he's freaking out and his hands are shaking because he's so mad.
Do you guys, when you watch a movie about Boston, and there's one at the theater constantly, like everyone who's chasing Oscars has to play a masshole to try to win one. Do you realize how bad those accents sound? Take like The Departed, like Martin Sheen. Yeah, he's a good cop. He's a cop who comes from a family of good cops. And I always sit there and cringe at it. Does it sound as bad to you guys as it does to us?
That's just what I think it sounds like. Like in my head, that's exactly. I go straight to those, like the town. Like if I need to think of what a Boston accent sounds like, I go straight to that, or Wahlburgers. So it's one or the other, but it's always a Boston, super Boston thing I go to. Yeah, for sure.
The best ever is in The Fighter. Christian Bale played Dickie Eklund, who I met, and he shouldn't have won the Oscar for that. He should have won the Nobel Prize in acting because he became that guy. And Christian Bale, Brit, and he nailed the accent. And have you ever seen Blow with Johnny Depp? True
Have you
story
ever
about
seen
the guy who
Blow?
invented the cocaine smuggling trade in the United States. Went to my high school, George Young, and Johnny Depp nailed that.
Wait, hold on. You know George Young?
He's way older than me, but like he's from my town. My brother said like his old.
So, George Young was listening to that while he was walking Blow out of an airport while wearing a blue suit with 2 suitcases on either side of him. That's what he did with false bottoms.
I forgot that scene. I was just too blown away by the performance. And my brother went to school, we said, with a dozen guys who sounded and acted exactly like that. And you know, Johnny Depp might not play the best pirate, but when he's playing a masshole from my town, spot on.
It's pretty amazing that Johnny Depp can do that accent as well, considering Johnny Depp, I believe, was born in Kentucky, but he's kind of like Madonna, where he almost has like a weird British accent at times. Like he's always experimenting with different accents.
That mid-Atlantic accent that only exists like in old movies. What these two chumps coming in here? Hey, slugger, what kind of a pitch did you hit? Yeah, that only exists in Fantasyland. And like when Madonna starts putting on that affectation and thinks that we all think it's elegant, we're laughing behind her back, Madonna.
You know what?
She should have just
Blow. You know how you say what movie Shawshanks you? Blow Shawshanks me the most, I think, because it's always on and I always watch it. Blow is like my favorite. I come out on the stage when I do stand up to Black Betty. Like that's a song I come onto the stage to every single show because of that fucking scene. And also my grandma's name's Betty. And it's just like a perfect mixture of like my grandma knows that I'm doing it because Blow's getting walked out of an airport. So let's party and have a good time. And it's a tribute to her. So I feel like she's looking out for me up there. But I love that movie. Fucking love it. I had no idea you have a connection to that guy. His daughter never came and said hello to him. It's sad situation there.
I would have said hello to him as soon as I found out he was insulating the walls with cash.
So much money.
Pure gold.
Cocaine Cowboys, another great little for future reference.
Getting back to football briefly before we get right back to talking about movies and crap. You mentioned Devontae Adams, and there was also a hit in that game, a flag. Des Bryant took a kind of a glancing blow in the end zone. I've never gotten your take as former players on the whole protecting receivers thing. And they were, arguing that the Des Bryant one was way too ticky-tack, but, and then you saw Adams got hit who was the one who hit him?
Trevathan.
Trevathan. That he had the penalty reduced, the suspension down to 1 game. And the world is filled with fake tough guys who said, why don't we put dresses on them and stuff? But AJ, you were a defensive player. Do you think it's gone too far? Do you think it's reasonable?
No, it's gone too far, no question. It's tough to regulate what is considered targeting, or it's weird because in college I did Stanford, Utah this week, and 2 Stanford starters that were great players on defense got targeting calls against them and got kicked out of the game. So they're out the first half of their next game, and it was basically the game was already out of hand, and they were pretty much going to win, and these guys get booted for very, very questionable calls. And so I just feel like in college they go back, they review them, and I believe in the NFL they do as well. And it just, I don't know. It's just tough. That call on Dez was done. They missed that, no question. And it's just I think refs are so scared of not calling one that they got to go over the top. And that's what we're dealing with, because we're saying, hey, it's all about player safety. So we want to err on the side of caution. So that's what we're seeing. And we're kind of caught in the middle. Like, what do? We want to protect players, but we don't want to change the outcomes of games. And they're doing that. They really are. So I don't know. It's tough. If you're a safety is like the number one position to where you're running full speed, receivers running full speed. How do you not? There's so much distance in between, and then you get there at the point of contact. How do you lower your target? You don't hit with the crown of your helmet. There's so many different things you have to think about while trying to break the pass up. I don't know how they hit anybody. I really don't.
I
Pat,
think the big thing I think,
right?
Once you watch the movie Concussion, it all makes sense, right? So Will Smith, doctor, he figured out that CTE was a real thing, right? Then they goes to the NFL to tell them, and they paid people millions and millions of dollars to cover it up, right? This part of the whole thing is true. The NFL was trying to bury the CTE studies just to the death, right? Then once it became like a popular thing, now the NFL, they don't care about player safety, but they definitely have to give out the appearance that they care about player safety. So these rules about these big time shots that every single TV network leads into commercials with and comes out of commercials with, and is the highlights and the trailers and the big hits, is what everything is. Even though that is what everybody comes to watch, the NFL has to perceive as if they are trying to take care of the players, so they have to make these rules. It's all bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. The players don't know how to fix it. The offensive guys, they hate getting hit like that, but they also understand that it's a fucking bang-bang operation. It's all for PR. This is all for perception, and I have no idea if you're ever going to fix it. I have no clue. Guys are getting faster. They're getting smarter. They know where the ball is going to be, and they're going to get there faster and with more force than ever in the past. So who knows if you're ever going to be able to fix it. It's only going to get worse unless they try to change the fucking helmets and have no helmets on, something like that. But the game is the game, and the perception is now that they have to take care of the players, even if the players won't take care of themselves.
Yeah, Pat, you're 100% right. It's all about perception. That's all it is. It's not even about safety. The thing about it is, though, you see guys get hurt because they're trying to change the target and where they're hitting, and you have to turn and like duck and put your head to the side and use your shoulder. You're going to get shoulder injuries and different neck situations. Now, people will say, hey, I'd much rather have a guy's shoulder get blown out than his brain break. I understand that part. But, yeah, it's all about perception. You just don't want – they're going back now because they made mistakes earlier trying to cover it up, and they're trying to go the other way to say, hey, we're taking care of these guys. And it seems like every day another guy comes out with head trauma that's bothering him. And I've never seen that movie, actually, to tell you the truth, Pat.
It's scary. I watched it, and I was immediately freaked out. I texted my friend AQ Shipley and was like, hey, bud, let's have some memories here before everything goes the wrong way, because I've been watching Concussion here, and I think things are not looking good for the future. So we need you to get some brain pills, and we need you to start really enjoying life here. Yeah,
and it's been confirmed that the NFL got the producers to take stuff out that made the stuff bad. Like they had approval, like when they do like a Army movie or something, and the Pentagon gets to approve what they put in there and what they don't. And so I don't know if you could even trust that. And still, it was that bad a look for the league. And you talk to players, and to a person, though, I'll say they'd rather take a shot to the head than one to the knees. Is that legit? I mean, is there anybody that's sitting there saying, "Oh no, protect my head"? But by all means,
look at Gronk. Yeah. Gronk is such a monster. He's so big. Every time he catches the ball down the seam, he has to I can't imagine how he feels. He's got to go limp because everyone is chopping his legs and knees so hard. That's obviously he's so big. That's the only way to really get him down. But it's tough, man. It really is. And I feel for offensive and defensive guys. And I was talking to Jordy Nelson a couple months ago about it. He's like, I feel bad for defensive guys. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I really don't. I don't know how you're supposed to tackle. I don't know what they can do. And it's not going to go back the other way to where they're going to take it out. It's only going to get worse the more we go.
No downside for the officials to throw the flag on a borderline one, because no one's put out about it. The defense doesn't like it, but the fans are sitting there going, well, that moves the chains. It's going to help fantasy points. You know what I mean? And then they can sit there and thump their chest and say, see, look at what we're doing to protect player safety. We're going to that extreme where if it's borderline, throw it. And, no one's going to lose their jobs from it. But if you don't call one and a guy really does get hurt, then it's the official's in jeopardy.
Perception is reality. That's all it is. Everybody just wants to cover their ass. That's the 1,000% what that's the world now that I think about it. Everybody's just trying to cover their ass.
That's the business world. That's the NFL. That's coaches. That's what coaches are always like. CYA, man, cover your ass. Just do your job and make it look like you're doing the right thing. But then when you talk to anybody that's in any form of business, that's what all the execs are doing. The bosses, everyone's just trying to cover their ass.
Everybody's just covering their fucking ass. CYA and C Toddy, right, AJ? C Toddy.
What is that?
Catch the ones they throw you. Yeah, it's for DBs. I don't think it has anything to do with cover your ass, but C Toddy.
It's new to me.
Well, maybe if you played defense in the NFL, you would have learned that, because that's a pretty common cliche.
We just talked like normal humans. Said, hey, bud, catch that one.
So that's CTY. Got it. Or CTO. Got it.
Wasn't big into the acronyms.
Catch that one.
Acronyms, I mean, come on now.
C-Toddy.
Those are as bad as cliches, probably.
It's not as good as the brand. The brand is going to be hot. That's taken off, and I seriously think that AJ and I need to get into the merch.
Listen,
you should cut us in.
It's good for the brand. All right, the brand of kicking and punting it's having a makeover right now. There's a shift. Jay Feely used to be the mouthpiece of the brand. He was the only one that got on TV. and he was not well liked by a lot of us in the brand. We were not
Did
happy
you
that he
watch-
was. Yes, I fucking watched him
his clip?
off the
What
crossbar
happened?
and good.
Did he
Jay
have a-
Feely
did he have a
being Jay
stroke?
Feely. I hate him. I don't like Jay
Bro,
Feely.
what we watched that. Oh my! And then the best part is, so he must have had a stroke or something. I don't think he's come out and said what happened and why he said it was good when the kick was 10 yards wide,
All the way to
didn't hit any
commercial break.
crossbar.
All the way to
That's the
commercial
best.
break.
So then that's the best. So Jay's the color analyst. All of a sudden, Jay just sells it hard that the guy made it off the crossbar, whatever, and it wasn't even close to going in. And then he takes it to commercial break when it's just that's the play-by-play guy. The color guy never takes it to break either. It was so weird, like the whole situation.
A little inside
And I
scoop
love-
behind the scenes.
Broadcast. You must know this, AJ, that if someone screws up that bad, you can't call them on it. Like you can't correct them.
Yeah,
And
you
so
can.
just let them go. It was like this. It was just got more awkward. It was like your crazy uncle just telling dirty jokes at the Thanksgiving table or something, and nobody knows how to react. Just hold on, AJ. He missed, but I'm sorry, Jay. He
Have
missed.
to. So when he came back from break there, so Jay takes him to break, which was just amazing. The color guy never does that. Takes him to break. When they came back, I don't think he did that. If he did, the clip is not out there. He should have said, "Hey, I was way off. That ball was nowhere near making it. I'm sorry. I don't know what I saw there. I was looking at the wrong monitor. I don't know what happened. I closed my eyes." But I don't think he even acknowledged the mistake. If you what you can make, it's live on TV. I understand you make mistakes. Just correct yourself and apologize for it.
He's bad for the brand. He's not good for the brand. And he's the only mouthpiece we have right now in mainstream media. And we don't like it. So the brand is
Why is that? He seems to be universally disliked by pretty much at most all people you talk to. Like, why is that?
I think he's a pretty terrible human. Like, I think as a human, he's a terrible person. Like, I don't. Yeah, I've only heard him speak a couple of times, and everything comes out of his mouth. I hate it. When he was on ESPN, I hated him. I just didn't like anything that he stood for, really. Then I heard he undercut a guy in a contract. Whenever he's just a bad human. I think he's just a bad person, and he'll do whatever it is. Now, Tom Brady was in his wedding though, so that's big. That means a lot. That's good for the brand, but everything comes out of his mouth, bad for the brand. So it's kind of we're taking we're getting a full facial right now. It's a full makeover in the brand in the kicking and punting department, and we're not scared to call people out when it's bad for the brand. If you're a punter that gets stiff armed to your face and you take a seat in the middle of a professional football game, like the brand, we don't like. That's not good for the brand. You make a big time tackle though, good for the brand. Probably going to have sex that night too. Also good for the brand. Maybe procreate with a very hot girl, create more people that are going to be good for the brand later. We're all about good stuff happening on fourth downs, kickers, punters, returners, stuff like that. Just good for the brand.
So the headline from this one is Pat McAfee wants AJ Feely not to have babies.
Jay Feely,
Don't put.
I think he already
Jay-
has kids. I think Jay Feely already has kids. And I hope his kids are awesome. Like, I hope it's not their fault, right? I mean, they just came in that situation. And Jay, if you're friends with him, he's probably a good guy. I don't know. I'm not friends with him. But I can't.
After you just said he's a terrible human.
I don't. Everything comes out of his mouth makes you think he's a terrible human. But I bet you if I got to know him off the TV, he's probably a good guy. I don't know. He wore gloves. He never caught the ball. Like, what are we doing?
Every once in a while, you see that guy who is perfectly wrong at everything that ever comes out of his mouth, and I'm fascinated by that. Like
Mike Carey.
He is. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a guy who
Bad
you
for the
can
brand.
make bets on it. If he says they're going to reverse this call, then you just wait for, and the call in the field is confirmed, and he's never been right. When back in the day, they used to have guys like Jimmy the Greek picking games, and if you really noticed, if you kept track, they were wrong every single time. And you would think anyone would just be right by accident once in a while.
I don't want to
But
mock those
Mike
people. I went 3-12
and
last week.
Jay Feely have that ability. It's like a little kid that will put his shoes on the wrong feet every single time, and yet they have jobs.
Well, you know what it is? These people we speak of, they lack awareness. And I think that's the number one thing as a human. You need to have some self-awareness in every single thing you do. I drill that into my kids. If we see a car wreck, my 6-year-old daughter would look and say, "Oh, Dad, look, that lady has a total lack of awareness." I was like, "You are correct." She was probably looking at her phone and ran into the car in front of her.
No compassion
so it's all
in the
about
Hawk family.
You have to have awareness.
Oh, let's
No,
not worry about if she's dead or not. That the lady that could be dead right now has no awareness. Obviously,
Yeah, we
she's
got-
dead, AJ.
School starts at 8:45, Pat. We got to get there. We don't have time for that to stop, but the cops are on their way. But the thing is, you got to have awareness. If you make mistakes,
own it.
Yeah, you just own it. Like Tiger. When Tiger messed up, if he'd have came out and said, hey, like, I really messed up. This is my problem. I love multiple girls at a time. I was doing all kind of stuff. I grew up. I was just kind of a golf nerd. All of a sudden I got caught up. Bam, I'm a superstar. I can do whatever I want. If he just came out and owned it, people would love it. That's why they love John Daly, because he owns all of his mistakes. Everything he does, he owns it. And it's just like, when you don't have any awareness, those are the worst people to be around. And I feel like some people just have zero awareness. And you just have to own up to it, man. Admit it if you make a mistake. As Pat said, for the brand, if a punter gets blasted, we recognize it and we say, hey, that's not good for the brand.
It's not good for us.
When he makes a good play, then you
put back on. Now he's back for the brand. But as somebody who has had to give an issue a public apology, it's an interesting situation for sure. Because there was a couple PR people that came up to me offering me different outs. Like, do I want to find Jesus possibly? And I was like, what? They're like, do you want to
Is that really something? Someone really said that to you?
True story, yeah. Sat me down and gave me like couple different strategies, they said. Here, we can go over some strategies if you'd like. I said, what's that? They're like, strategies for what? Your apology. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go up there and I'm going to fucking apologize. I'm going to say, this is what happened. They're like, well, maybe you could have a life change and say that you found Jesus. And I was like, or if you've ever had a conversation with me, I don't think that'll fly. I think people will call me out for being a bit of a hypocrite forever. I don't think that's going to work. They're like, well, maybe you can try to be searching for your Lord. And I'm like, I'm just going to search for a good fucking time and not get arrested anymore. That's what I'm going to do. So why don't we just let me say that? They were holding their fucking breath, me going out there. And I honestly, it was just an apology to my family, my bosses, and letting everybody know, like, I understand that this looks terrible and I'm completely sorry. And it worked out. People appreciated it because it was real. If I would have went up there and said, hey, I'm Tim Tebow, I'm kneeling and I'm finding Jesus and I'm circumcising kids in Philippines now instead of getting drunk on Tuesdays, then everybody would have saw right through that shit. We're too woke. Can't be lying. Can't be fake. You just got to take adversity right in the face and just own it and keep it moving.
That there's someone's job to just use Jesus like a Rosie the Riveter pin on your lapel.
That was the same guy, Brian. I bet you that was the same title of a person right there, by the way. Same type of job there, just two different organizations.
Pat, he did die for your sins, so you can pretty much hide behind him anytime you want. Like, yeah, that's what he did. Jesus got a cross so that we can make excuses for screwing up.
Nobody talks about it. The Italians killed Jesus, by the way, not the Jews. The Italians did. So just so everybody knows that.
How do you figure?
They were hired. They were hired to kill him because the Jews wouldn't do it. So the Italians actually killed him. So since the beginning of time, the Italians have been taking compensation for doing terrible things. I mean, that's just what the Italians do. You need to know that.
I used to work with a Boston comic who was Jewish, and he said that he knows that they didn't kill Jesus because if you ever met his dad, you know he's really bad with tools, and he never would have got the hammer in. He says, if it was my dad, then Jesus would have been duct taped to the cross. I always like that.
See, but the Italians are the classic bricklayers, organized crimers. They're actually, a guy's name was Pilates. What was his name? Pilates, right? Who? Pilate. He's the one that did it. He's an Italian. He was hired by the Jews. Anyways, that's who killed Jesus. I just want to make sure the more people know that. The Italians killed Jesus. Remember that.
Italians are plumbers, like Mario and Luigi. Where I get all my cultural information from.
The Italians, such good food, such a beautiful culture, like great hair. The refs everywhere, but boy, organized crime. They really just took it up a notch and just became the best in the world at that. The Italians, just the best in the world at organized crime.
Wine, hot chicks.
Yeah, a lot of really good, but boy, that one thing that they're superstars at really, really gets a lot of the attention. Organized crime.
Hey, speaking of
La Cosa Nostra.
People who own their mistakes, Ben Roethlisberger today kind of shocked people by saying that the exact quote was, maybe I don't have it anymore, after a friggin' dog's breakfast of a 5-interception game, and Antonio Brown saved him from another interception. There's a guy who pulled a Hamlet act all during the offseason. He pulled a Brett Favre, like talking about maybe he was going to retire, then maybe I'm not going to retire or whatever, just wouldn't commit to coming back. Should he have come back?
Ben Roethlisberger is one of the most dramatic humans I've ever heard, I think. I did not listen, and this is also the Jacksonville Jaguars, what they have an effect on people. Like when we lost to them in England, the flight home was like triple bad because it's like, man, we lost to the Jaguars. And now the Jaguars are like a real deal team, I think. Their defense is legit, but there's still that stigma of it's the Jaguars. And Ben Roethlisberger, who has an incredible resume, throws 5 picks to the Jaguars, and he looks himself in the mirrors and says, I think this is it. I think if the Jags are going to pick me off 5 times, a couple pick sixes, this might be fucking it. Like, that's how low he got. But nobody understands that the Jags are the truth this year. Jalen Ramsey is a monster player for them, and they're actually doing their defense is legit. And I think this it's a recipe of Ben being dramatic and the stigma of the Jaguars being bad, him having a bad game, and all of his antics about retiring, which, listen, I pulled no antics. I just pulled the trigger right on Comedy Central. I mean, let's not do-si-do. Let's go balls deep one way or the other, Ben. But I think this all revolves around the stigma of the Jaguars being bad when I don't think they're that bad anymore.
You know who else on the Jags is making an imprint on my heart now is Leonard Fournette. Oh. Not just because he's a total throwback. I mean, he had 28 carries today. I think he's one of those guys that's going to maybe one of these days average like 30 carries a game. But if they're just trying to run the clock, he busts one for 90 yards. And it wasn't his best play of the game. My favorite, Barstool tweeted this out. He went around and it might have been a pitch, but he had all sorts of space. And he was motioning for defensive backs to come up and hit him. It was the most grown man thing I've seen in football this year. It was phenomenal. Like, watch it. He's actually come on, hit me. Like, he fight clubbed it. He's like, I want you to hit me as hard as you can, and nobody wants a piece of that. No one wants those hands.
AJ, you want a piece of that?
That play that you're speaking of was amazing. He stiff-armed a guy like at the line of scrimmage, threw him to the ground, and then he kind of motioned. And I believe it was Mike Mitchell, the safety, who came over. But the one thing that confuses me. So Fournette is the real deal. He's amazing. But people said that he ran over Mike Mitchell. Like, he motioned to him, and he was going like, yeah, all right, good. We're going to kill each other right here. I'm coming for you. But Mike Mitchell actually made a great tackle. It was, if you watch it, it's a super violent collision where Mike Mitchell went low. They both got, he got turned sideways. Like, he didn't get run over. But people said, oh, and then he ran him over. I'm like, no, it was actually a great tackle, and it was a nasty, nasty collision. But Fournette, he is. Remember Fournette, I think through like 1 or 2 preseason games said, oh, this is pretty easy. This doesn't feel any different from college. Like, this feels pretty good out here. And he's actually proving that in the regular season.
And now he's calling his shot. Like, hey, who wants some, cuz? In the middle of the play. You, come here, cuz.
How about the fact that they won 30-9 and Blake Bortles didn't even throw for 100 yards?
Doesn't have
zero
to.
Touchdowns.
That defense is – Tom Coughlin came down there and whipped together a good O-line all of a sudden and a good defense, and that's what Tom Coughlin does. Now, AJ, was there ever a guy that you did not want to hit?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely guys that are a lot tougher to take down. The 49ers, they put – I forget his name. I'm not sure exactly.
So, like, if he waves at me, right, I'll probably just let him go. I'll probably just go like, yeah, you're good. Go ahead, bub. Like Mike.
I mean, I can't make it. You can't make it a business decision, but you just got to go low. You got to chop his legs out, man. That's the only way. A lot of times, backs are so big. I mean, Fournette is a giant. He is a big, strong dude. You can't take him up high. If you take him up high, you might be dead. Honestly, like, you're just dead on the field. You got to go low, and you better hope that the side of your head doesn't hit his knee, because you will be out cold for a month.
What about who's the big Brandon Jacobs Giants?
He was a monster.
Thunder and Lightning. Him and whatchamacallit. What was that other guy? The other
Bradshaw?
I don't think Ahmad Bradshaw. Was Bradshaw the Lightning? No, it was Thunder and Lightning. I forget it. Fuck it. It was a storm, though. Don't get caught in a storm, dude. So you never had a guy. Did you ever attack like Jerome Bettis or anything?
I think Jerome retired right before I got in the league.
How about LeGarrette Blount? I'm just trying to think of a guy who's like north of 200.
Yeah. LeGarrette's no. So that when the Niners would go their big package, and we played them in the playoffs, they moved one of their D linemen over, and he played fullback when they were trying to run the clock out on us.
Yeah.
And I just had to take him on ISOs like 9 straight plays, and it was horrible. The guy's like 295, 300 pounds, and just an absolute monster. And it was terrible. Like,
what do you do? Just throw all your shit right into him every single time? You just literally just load up because you know what's coming, right? You know the ISO's coming. You've seen film when this big motherfucker comes in. He's leading the way right here. We know what's happening. So before that play happens, in your head, you're like, I have to go bang with a 295-pounder right now. That's just what's going through your head?
Multiple times in a row, yeah, and it sucks. And you hope they run the other way or something. And you just have to, like, best case scenario for you when the guy outweighs you by 70 pounds is just to have a stalemate. Like, a stalemate is an absolute victory in that case. And they're running the clock out. It's already like the worst feeling ever when a team is pounding you and they're running the clock out on you. There's Adrian Peterson, his fullback Felton for a while. He's not a huge guy, but however he was built, excuse me.
Jerome Felton?
Yeah, Felton. He had hit the angle that he would come at you and how he would it was like blackout every time he hit him. It sucked. He was a great dude too.
No concussions, huh? No concussions.
Zero.
At all.
Yeah. I didn't
absolutely.
black out, but I talked to my teammates about it.
Yeah.
And
friends.
every time, he has a weird he has a rock head and he just would have just weird leverage to where every time every time you hit him, it was never like, oh, that was a cool stalemate. It was like, oh man, I forget my kids' names. It sucked. It was terrible. And he was in Minnesota when Adrian was really rolling. He was in Minnesota, and then he went to Buffalo. When I was in Cincinnati for a year, all of a sudden I'm like, are you kidding me? Felton's in Buffalo, and we had to go play them in Buffalo, and I had to hit him a few more times.
You ever find that some people are just play heavier than their actual weight? And this is I'm going somewhere with this, but when I was coaching kids, I noticed there were just some kids maybe that weren't big, but when you'd hold the blocking dummy, you felt it. Like they're not made of organic material. They're made of some depleted uranium or something.
Yeah,
and I don't.
Yeah. There's some guys that are like that they have that useful strength where it's like my father-in-law. He doesn't lift weights. He doesn't work out. He might not be able to bench 135, but he literally will put a refrigerator on his back and carry it around. He's a builder, so he can just he'll carry stuff and move things, and it's like he's Superman when he's doing that. And there's people like that have that useful strength to where they can do stuff in real life, but in the weight room they probably can't do anything.
Your father-in-law has superhero strength? That's got to be a little bit intimidating.
He's 69, super bow-legged, and he'll just all of a sudden be carrying something. We'll see him in the front yard carrying a
So he's your alpha for sure, right? He's the alpha for sure? You and Pistol just kind of bow down at family reunions or what?
No, I don't. No, we don't really give labels here. I don't like that.
Does he have a nickname like Pistol?
Well, yeah, his name's Chopper. So yeah, he's Chopper's famous because he calls everybody else Chopper as well. So he calls everybody Chopper, and his name is Chopper. So it's kind of weird.
Of course, his name is that. Of course. Hey, Chopper, Pistol. How's it going? Hey, we're gonna have Chopper and Pistol.
Hey, here's AJ Hawk. Yeah, I got Hawk and Animal here. Hawk, Chopper, Pistol. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, well, if we had twins during one of our multiple births, we were going to, if they had twin boys, their middle names were going to be Chopper and Pistol, but we didn't have twins.
Ed, it's going to be a CBS cop buddy show, in the next fall lineup. It's Chopper and Pistol. They're keeping the streets safe for the citizens like you. Chopper and Pistol.
Starring Mark Wahlberg.
Chopper's definitely the alpha there, though, by the way. That's what I just learned.
Yeah, most likely he is.
What was it like meeting a guy who can lift a refrigerator
on
when you're
back.
trying to date his? What was that first handshake like?
Luckily he's awesome, and I hang out with him every day pretty much. But yeah, it's really confusing. The first dinner I went to, so he's calling everybody else Chopper. So you're sitting there eating food, and there's 8 people at the table, and he'd say, "Hey Chop, how's the steak?" And I'm like, I'd look up, and then I'd start to answer it, and I'm realize, oh nope, he's talking to this person over here.
Another Chop.
And so the next time he says, "Oh Chopper, you like medium well?" And I would just be silent, and he's like, "Chopper, I'm talking to you." I was like, "Oh yeah, I do." So yeah, it's very confusing for people.
You do not want to be there the night that they're eating
he
chops.
likes his steak medium well.
Then we're all screwed. Yeah,
you like your
right.
steak medium well?
No, I don't even eat steak, but no, medium rare.
Are you a vegan?
Mm-hmm. No. I eat chicken. I eat chicken and fish.
Never steak, never beef. Like, what about a burger?
I mean, it's been like probably 8 or 9 years since I've had it. Yeah.
What? A burger?
I'm absolutely blown away.
ISIS, bro.
Why not?
It's been 8 or 9 years since you had meat like beef.
Yeah, I eat chicken pretty much for every meal. I make eggs in the morning, eat a bunch of them, and I eat
Baby
chicken the
eggs.
rest of the day.
Then grown eggs.
Because cows are God's most delicious creation, and fish might as well be a vegetable. I'm not saying I never eat it, but I don't look forward to fish night. But
Well, I'm not. I don't have. I assume, Jerry, are you Catholic? So you have like Friday. You only eat fish on Fridays?
only during Lent. So that's from Wednesday to
Because that's what Jesus did, right?
Nah,
He only ate it on Fridays, right?
That's just a church rule. Someone told me it actually goes back to the days when they were like they were trying to help out the fish sellers.
Yes.
So they just said, "Hey, what's the rule? You can't eat beef." Like,
Yes.
well, I do it to try to drop weight before.
Everything's
summer.
a business. Everything's a business, including Lent, when you're supposed to live like Jesus. That fish thing is all big hustle for the Lord.
Hey, you know what is a business, Pat? You know a great business?
What's up, bub?
Bet DSI, big guy.
Oh, I love BetDSI. I'm going to go do that on my phone while I take a piss.
Yeah, do it. You're a compulsive gambler. Oh, he has his headphones off. He can't hear us now. But, Jerry, BetDSI.com, we all know, they've been in business over 20 years, paying winners over and over and over. They're A-plus rated on sportsbook review sites. You can use your sports knowledge to make some extra cash. The easy-to-use plain interface. You play, you win, you get paid. That's their go-to tagline, right, Jerry? You remember it? What was it? What did I say?
That you play, you win, and you get paid.
Good job. You're paying attention.
A lot of places do those first two, but then don't do the third. This
You're exactly
isn't this.
right. You're right. BetDSI offers odds on everything football, including live betting and props as games are in action. I need a comma in there, fellas. BetDSI offers odds on pretty much everything else too, including all major sports, politics, reality TV, pretty much everything. As Pat said earlier, like Teresa Giudice and Joe Giudice, who's in prison now. Do you know that, Jerry?
I did not. I was not aware of that. Was he running a unscrupulous gambling site, unlike BetDSI?
I think it was something to do with tax and hiding money or something, but they rotated actually. She went to prison for like a year and now he's going for 2 or something because they have kids.
It's illegal to cheat on taxes and shit.
I guess so. Ask Wesley Snipes. But use promo code LACESOUT25 and get a $25 free wager just for registering. If you decide to deposit, you will get a 200% bonus match on your money. 200%. That sounds pretty good to me. I play there myself, and I recommend BetDSI if you want to add a little excitement to the games you are watching. Once again, go to BetDSI.com and use promo code LACESOUT25 and get a free $25 wager on the house and 200% extra bonus when you deposit. That's LACESOUT25 to get your free wager and start winning today, Big Jerry.
You know who is going to have a lot more time probably now to play BetDSI because he's probably done for the season is J.J. Watt. That was gruesome.
You think he's done for the year?
You know, you hate to speculate, but boy, when they're carting him away in an ambulance, you know, when he's grimacing, he and Odell Beckham both look like the NFL lost 2 of their easily top 10, probably top 5 marquee names in a couple of hours of each other, and both on units that also got decimated. Right, the Giants lost Brandon Marshall and Sterling Shepard. Don't know the extent of that, but Whitney Merciless goes down too, and boy, things just couldn't get friggin' worse for the Giants.
So JJ Watt's out. I just got back. I need one of those pee bottles that AJ Hawk owns. But JJ Watt out and Odell Beckham out. This year, I feel like there's so many more injuries happening. Brandon Marshall's dinged up. That whole wide receiver core for the Giants is dinged up. I feel like there's so many injuries happening right now. So many injuries.
The Watt thing looked to me, for all the world, like what we talked about last week, AJ, when you were talking about the field turf and how you can't get a grip and your foot comes out from under you. I mean, it was a light contact. It looked like you were trying to, he was leaning against contact that maybe didn't come, and he was facing a double team. And next thing you know, he's on the meat truck going to the hospital. And if he plays again this season, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, it was a weird deal where he kind of clipped his heel, and then he got his foot clipped by one of the a lineman while they're running a little stunt on the D line, and it just looked bad, man. And that's Houston has field turf, and that field turf is known to not be great as well. So, actually, they used to have grass, and their grass was really bad. It had because they were carting it in and out, and they didn't have the Arizona thing where it walks itself out. They had a bunch of seams in the grass. I remember when we played there years ago. So now the field turf, I don't know. You know how my feelings about field turf.
Former punter for the Texans actually sued NRG Stadium for his knee getting blown out in one of those seams. A lot of people. His name's Brett something from Michigan. Before they got Shane Leckler, he was a young guy with a gigantic leg, and then he was jogging down covering a punt, and his knee got caught up somehow in the seam, and it was all over. That's terrible.
Well, that's Lawrence Tynes, he's still suing the Bucks for staph infection.
Yeah, that was a big ordeal because they were saying it was not their fault, and then he said it was their fault, and he was laid up, and it got a little dramatic in there. Who knows what's going to happen there? That's it. Then, did you have all those signs on your? I assume it was just kind of league wide. All those signs about rub this type of lotion or this type of soap once a week at least on your entire body so you don't get staph infection. That type of shit. I never used it. Did you?
Never once.
Not once.
What I didn't. The number one thing I didn't use was the nasty hot tub. I was not getting in that because that's just staph for everybody.
Yeah, a lot of dudes pee in there. Yeah, I think dudes pee in there a lot. I don't go in there either.
There's one at my gym, and it's why don't I just lie in a pool of anthrax for a while and see how that.
That's what a hot tub is for Jerry.
You climb into it. Oh yeah, I see that getting observed all the time. Yeah, thanks. I'll just stay over here.
Did you ever cold tub?
Pat, no, I don't cold tub either. But that's the thing, Pat. That's conspiracy as well. But the thing about it, if you notice, I'm sure there's signs as well and your trainers would always say, hey, before you get in the hot or cold tub, make sure you at least shower off, rinse yourself in the shower after practice so you don't have all the sweat and stuck to you. Did anyone follow those rules?
No chance. No chance. There was no time. There was no time. Guys would go straight in there. It was a cesspool. It was an absolute, and then it would be green some days out of nowhere, and then it would be shut down for a day. They had to clean it. It was a nightmare operation, but I'm happy to hear that nobody used that staph infection soap. I think it was full for my entire time. I don't think I ever saw one pump get taken out of that thing in the shower. It was like a red soap, Jerry. Red soap. You had no idea what you're getting. You really thought you put it on there like your balls might burn. Like it was almost like the feel like, what's that stuff that shaves your body? It's like a butter.
Nair.
I've nared my balls before. I thought that was what was going to happen whenever I put that soap in there, and nobody uses it. It's like a fear, and I'm happy I didn't get staph infection.
Get a dolphin smooth down there
with a nair?
Just for a lady friend or what?
Well, I mean, I'm 30 years old, so I grew up in an era where there was no bush ever, and it was kind of a full operation, and I got a little lazy, and one time I wanted to nair and really get down to the root of the whole thing. I'm talking actually down to the root of the whole thing, and it was a little bit of a burning sensation right there on the ball sack, and I was just a young lad, and I learned a lot that day about me and my fortitude for sex appeal.
No, rest in peace, noble, humble, and now extinct pube. The pube really just it's been eradicated from the world, and I think someday we're gonna miss it.
It'll come back. Everything comes back.
It's like shorts. They're coming back.
Who?
Time is a flat circle. Everything we have done, we will do again. Maybe that'll be the new trend. To steal an Al Michaels line from tonight, like that tie you keep in the back of the closet that comes back in style. Maybe someday we'll bring back the pube, because I don't know. I think in a way we're going to miss it when it's completely gone.
You had a good pube game, didn't you? It's what it sounds like. Sounds like you're missing your really highlight of your life, possibly, the good pube game.
Just, in old magazines. And I don't mean like a giant shrubbery. I don't mean like a topiary, something you could carve into animal shapes, but just something. Just a little something.
Speaking of a guy who probably has a gigantic bush, this made me think of his mustache. Did you watch 24 Hours with Shad Khan on Monday Morning Quarterback?
I saw him in the owner's booth today, and yeah, he's got that mad
Dude.
like.
Watch the
Raleigh
24 hours with him. He was doing yoga on his fucking yacht in the morning of his game in England after going to his Fulham game, which he owns or whatever, and then he yogas on his yacht, and then he goes into a spa in the middle of his yacht, which is on his yacht, like has a spa on his yacht. And then it follows him throughout the whole day, and it's you should watch it.
Wait, where was this? What network?
MMQB. It's like what's his face? Peter King's thing, right?
Yeah. Okay.
It's really fucking good. I don't know how they get access to all that stuff, but it was incredible. And if that's not the most motivating thing I've ever seen in my entire life, he was doing yoga on his yacht and then went inside for a spa on it, like in his yacht, like it's fucking outrageous how much money that guy. He created bumpers, right? That was his thing. Like he did bumpers.
Bumpers? What is bumpers? I know I'm going to
like for cars. Like I think he just created bumpers. I think that's
actual car bumpers.
Yeah, I think that's his thing. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's his thing. Because he used to have a yacht party for all his players in when he first got to the league, and one of my friends was on there. And he was like sending me at that time videos. It was Snapchat videos. He was sending me Snapchat videos when he first got over there of him on the goddamn yacht. Like, yo, this is the owner's yacht. We had to take our shoes off to get on. So there's like just a full deck of shoes, like Jordan's out the ass, just sitting there. And then they're all just wandering around the goddamn yacht shoeless. It was absurd. I think he created bumpers. Is that what happened? Kind of, right? Yeah, he's the guy that created bumpers. So that's his thing. He's rich forever.
How happy I am that you meant actual literal car bumpers. I thought this was some like dating app that I should know about, and I'm like, yeah, you make that much money out of bumpers since they existed. Like Henry Ford probably invented the first one, but hey, you know what? He's got not only the yacht to prove it, but the A+ mustache game. That's going to be the best mustache in the history of sports owners. I really can't think of what the second best would be because yeah, Al Davis never had, your greats never had a mustache, and yet that thing is friggin', it looks like he like a magician or something.
Didn't Donald Sterling have a goatee?
Oh, Sterling never loved us. Put me in a really terrible situation at the ESPYs.
Sure.
Sterling?
Yeah, Drake sang a song called Sterling Never Loved Us. After that video,
yeah.
And I was at the ESPYs, and it was a very awkward situation. I'm like, he didn't love me either. If we talk about that, he hated everybody. He's a bad person. Let's just keep it moving here. It was very weird. Drake was putting everybody on blast.
Let's lightning round around the league. I wanted to mention Vinatieri again because there's a show that NFL Network is running, and maybe it's only of interest to me, but it's in depth into the tuck rule, and that was 16 years ago. Of Adam Vinatieri being frigging nails. That kick he made in the snow after the tuck rule was the single greatest kick in NFL history. It was 45 yards through a universe that looked like a snow globe. He kicks another 48-yarder to win the Super Bowl 7 days later. He was in the Super Bowl as a rookie in 1996.
Yeah,
hands down of all time, right?
Yes, hands down, not even a close second. And I understand Justin Tucker's incredible, but until you just have so many gigantic NFL moments like Vinatieri, you can't. Now, granted, would other kickers make those kicks? Who knows? But Adam Vinatieri, when he gets in those situations, he's the most clutch guy in the history of professional sports. And I got a chance to work with him, obviously. So on a regular kick, if it's not a game-winning kick, we jog out on the field, crack jokes. Be a joke. I try to keep it light. Like I'm his caddy. I'd be like, hey, man, you make this, I'm probably going to get my dick sucked tonight. So let's talk about that. Like I try to keep it as light as possible because he's a super serious person, right? Game winners, though, it was a completely different fucking animal. He went into like this coma thing. He wouldn't even acknowledge me, wouldn't even talk to me. It was like he was like literally like he becomes like an Iceman almost. And I think I've said it before. I don't know if it was on this show or on my show. The first time we went out for a game winner, before every single kick, he would do his steps. And I'd be like, you ready, old man? This is an exact thing that would happen before every kick. I'd be, you ready, old man? And he'd go, yup, out loud. He would say, yup. And I'd be like, all right, sounds good. And we'd snap it, right? First time we go out for a game winner, I'm like, you ready, old man? Nothing. I'm like, fuck, you must be getting ready. Like, I'm not even going to look back at him yet. And I'm like, hey, you ready, old man? Nothing. I turn around and look, and he's just like at this death stare, like right, like through me almost. And I'm like, well, I guess we're fucking doing this right now. And we right down the fucking middle, not even a close. And then he goes and does his pump fake or his pump punch, which I don't know if he did that before Tiger or who did it first, but he does that after every single kick. And then after the game, I tell him that whole story, and he's just completely blacked out, doesn't even remember it. He just goes into a completely different universe, and it's just that it all made sense to me why he's at Vinatieri at that exact moment. I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense. I could never focus this hard on anything, not a single thing, not enough weed, not enough Adderall. There ain't enough drugs that can make me focus this hard, and that's what he did. That's why he's at Vinatieri.
That one today was 51 yards. It was never in doubt from the second, before his foot even stopped moving forward. You knew it was going to bisect the post that holds up the crossbar. And it was his 11th career overtime kick.
Yeah.
11.
So he would be the all-time leading scorer by forever if they counted playoff points, but they don't count playoff points, which are the most important points, which is such bullshit. Vinatieri is definitely playing for at least another year after this, because there's no way you get this close to the scoring title of all time and not finish it off. But the guy he's fucking remarkable. He's just a different animal. He's so competitive.
And now
Pat, how big of a deal is it now that as a kicker, doesn't he have to be excited? He goes from the Patriots to kicking in all kind of conditions to now eight games a year he's kicking indoors. That's a big deal, isn't it?
Well, so that's a little bit of a falsehood. So our stadium isn't always indoors. So we play, so it actually becomes a wind tunnel. So whenever they open up the window and the roof, it actually becomes a wind tunnel, which becomes a nightmare. So we go from having one of the worst setups whenever that window and roof is open to the best whenever the weather gets a little bit cold. So like when Peyton was there, the roof and window were closed a lot more because Peyton had control over the whole situation. We threw a lot. So Peyton would be like, no, you're keeping it shut. And we're winning, so nobody cared. But then whenever Luck came in, Luck didn't take over that role of telling anybody to keep it closed or so now they just open it as much as possible. And it's a big difference. It is a gigantic difference in the stadium. But Vinatieri is very much more comfortable not having to kick in the negative 12-degree winters at practice with Bill Belichick every single day. But I think that's the only reason that made him, though. That's what made Adam Vinatieri, is he was with Belichick, and he was with Parcells, I think, up there. He was with Pete, what's his name? Pete Carroll. He was with all of them up there. So that guy has weathered through some shit. I mean, he's been there, done that with everything. That's why he's so fucking good.
Hey, now as a kicker, though, kickers probably love field turf, don't they?
Yeah, we love it, man. It's better for everything. Onside kicks, it makes the ball bounce further. The only thing it sucks for is if you're trying to punt a ball down inside the 10 because the bounce is a little bit harder than grass. Grass, normally you can get it to stick like a wet green.
You know what's impressive is a guy like Robbie Gould. Chicago probably has the worst field in America ever. And
on
crazy
purpose.
Wind, crazy weather. And Robbie was just lights out for so long.
Yeah, now granted you don't see them go out for a lot of crazy kicks when it's like Jeff Reed at the Steelers, right? Like Jeff Reed had like a long of 46 for a long time, like for a full season, because in those terrible conditions, your team, it's not good strategy to throw you out there for a shitty situation if you're going to miss and give them the ball. So I do think it's incredibly impressive, but like whenever you're getting sent out for 60-yard field goals, like they're doing with Tucker right now, is a big ball sack thing. Big ball sack move. But Robbie Gould is incredible. He also learned from Vinatieri. Robbie Gould was in a training camp underneath Vinatieri. Vinatieri is the one who taught him how to kick, basically. Coming out of Penn State.
Probably the most successful player that the Patriots ever released is Robbie Gould. I mean,
or Vinatieri.
Look at that. It's not like they've been hurting at kicker since he's gone, but he's a freaking nails. And speaking of people the Patriots moved on from, Jacoby Brissett. Yeah,
he's our guy out here.
Pick on the goal line. That was unforgivable, but he's legit.
63-yard hold my dick to T.Y. Hilton in the fourth quarter. That was awesome. He's a hell of a player, man. I think the Colts might be able to get some if they trade him, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know when Luck's coming back. Nobody has a clue. He looks tiny still. They're working him back into practice. Nobody, they've been so hush-hush on that whole thing. There's another thing where if they just come out and say it, there's probably not as much drama around it all when he's going to come back. But Jacoby Brissett looks like a real fucking deal. He looks like a quarterback who could become like a great – he's a rookie basically right now. And he's out there balling on a team he just learned the offense 2.5 weeks ago. I mean, the guy has no idea, and he's tearing it up. I'm happy for him.
And, next to Green Bay, Dallas, that was the best game of the week. And it had no business being. I mean, no one's circling their calendars, taking putting their phone on airplane mode because San Francisco's playing Indy. But Brian Hoyer had like 53 yards, and it just went back and forth. It's been a surreal season already because every time you think a game is going to be great, it turns out to be garbage, and vice versa. But the Jets Cleveland was actually a football game.
And the Browns, what do the Browns do now? They benched Kaiser. So now is he out for the year? What happens now?
Yeah, can you bring him back? You can't bring him back, right? For at least another week. You can't. You have to have the other guy bury himself before you bring him back. That's a whole reality show about waiting to happen right there.
Hugh Jackson said he's going to watch the tape and then figure it out.
That means I don't know what the fuck to do. That's what that means. He might as well just walk up there and said that.
Yeah, there's something like they've got one win in their last 21 games going back to last year. At some point, you just have to realize that trying to reboot the Browns franchise was just I don't know, just an affront to nature or something. You tried to just make a expansion team, a cornerstone team, and instead of just rebranding them or whatever, it's like building a house on an Indian burial ground. I just think that's never ever going to work. Jackson's probably going to lose his job over this, and they're never going to be more than a 4-win team for the rest of our lives. Poor Joe Thomas.
Native American Indian burial ground.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? And here it is. Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, as people like me who are so woke like to call it.
Like, you mean people like you that are trying to erase Martin Luther King Day and pump up Columbus Day?
Oh, on the contrary, I'm the one who wanted Martin Luther King Day. I'll take anybody's holiday. Seriously, Prez. I don't know what his birthday is, but let's close the schools and have that off from work.
Wait, so for real though, like it's a federal holiday, Columbus Day, so everything's closed?
Yeah.
I can't go to the bank tomorrow?
Kids have school.
Ew, my kids don't.
What? Really? Are they public or private?
Public. Yeah, dude, I worked in a courthouse for years. Believe me, I could tell you every federal holiday.
So you're telling me right now the bank ain't open today?
No. Unless I'm completely at a miss here, but this is the biggie between. This is the big one between.
We got a bank closed for Columbus, like it's Easter, like Jesus popped out of the cave, and it's his birthday.
Every kid's home from college because it's a 3-day weekend. I mean, I know we work real non-traditional jobs.
You know who deserves more credit?
Our shoulders are going to be at the wheel because that's the kind of men that we are. But the rest of the world is going to be taking it off.
On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive. Who remembers that famous day and year? Paul Revere deserves more credit than he gets. That fucking guy. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Are you kidding me? He was a dope artist, rhymer too. He's got bars, Paul Revere. Why does that guy not get a day? Let's get a day for him, April 18th. Let's get a day for Paul Revere.
To really bust your bubble here, I hate to destroy your faith in this, but Paul Revere made it less far than anybody. He made it about 2 blocks before he got captured. Fuck. Another guy, Israel Bissell, made it all the way to New York, but his name didn't rhyme with anything, so he didn't get the poem.
God damn it. Rudy's fake too, so eat shit.
It's his own fault. Should have had a PR firm like you did. Should have told Israel Bissell to embrace Jesus and change his name to something more catchy.
Well, Israel's going to be tough, right? Israel's going to be tough if you're going to just jump on the Jesus bandwagon, right? Because they're like the ones that hired the Italians, right? The Israelis. They hired the Italians. Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Paul Revere's
again,
a fraud. This is fucking absurd. Is this serious right now?
I mean, he was famous Bostonian and crap, and he gets the statue and everything, but it really was just because of that poem. That's how things were then. It was like it was the equivalent of having like a high profile website, was being able to write a really good poem, and that's kings were made just by books and catchy slogans that former punters can recite 200 years after they're written.
Unbelievable. But I really feel like I've been lied to, like, so hard, like, very much. If I was to bet on something, it would be that Paul Revere is a fucking G. And you said he made it 2 blocks. That really changes everything that I'm thinking about of Paul Revere. Like, was his horse tired? How do you only make it 2 fucking blocks? Like, what does that even mean? Like,
he got captured. I mean, he might have made it just outside the city line,
because he was too loud with that goddamn poem.
So another guy, I think his name was William Dawes, who made it to like Western Mass or something like that. Like made it a good clip, and Revere pretty much got a flat or stopped and had a beer or something like that or whatever. He just is not the hero. But let that be a lesson to all of you. If you're gonna do something famous, have a name. It's all about the branding.
Good for the brand. Bad for my life, though. I think this whole Paul Revere news I just got. This is a big deal to me. The fuck, man?
I'm sorry, man. But you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. That's just it. I'm going to be a beacon of truth to this, even if it's a hard truth, even if it's going to be something that's difficult for you to swallow.
Does anybody go back to my elementary school teacher and tell her like, hey, you tried to expel me because I had a little cigarette sale operation going on, and you were the one telling me a big lie about Paul Revere. So somebody needs to talk to her.
Bissell's name was Chopper. Okay. Statue. Probably not his birthday.
This is true. Yeah. Pat, are you going to go take down the statue now?
Paul Revere's?
Yeah.
You know what? I just believe that anybody that is as heartbroken as I am about this news will do it one day. I have faith in that person. That's what I have faith in that person doing it, and they're standing up for all of us. Like, does Paul Revere's family make appearance fees? Like, do they make appearances? It's all a lie. This is absurd. I was looking to book a Revere. I was looking to book a Revere at a party. And
yeah, they do. Yeah, they get slightly less than William Hung gets to show up to Jerry.
That's absurd. Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in football, by the way.
Yep, I wasn't going to ask the power ranking thing because AJ jumped down my throat with cleats on the last time I did. But if you were buying into a team right now, and you'd have to buy them high because clearly they're dominating. But does anyone have a chance to move ahead of them right now? Because Atlanta's coming off 2 bad performances. The Patriots have issues. Oakland is basically in free fall without Derek Carr. It's them, and no one's clearly number 2.
I guess Green Bay, right? Because Aaron Rodgers, that's all you can really say, and they have they have a good offense, a couple weapons for them. But the way they play, man, it's fun to watch too. Alex Smith is like finally hitting his full spotlight golden moment here, where he's just taking it all in and balling. All these years of getting disrespected by saying that you're a system quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Now he's just out balling, and they got weapons on weapons on weapons, and that defense is ready to go. And I think Colquitt made a big tackle, which we're in the middle of recording Laces Out. If Colquitt made a tackle, that's great for the fucking brand. So I like everything that they're doing. I like what the Chiefs suck me where my dick is, Jerry.
As opposed to where else?
Well, nobody else is doing any sucking at this particular moment. It's just the Chiefs sucking me where my dick is. So there's nowhere else to suck. Now, granted, I've watched movies. There's some sucking that happens in other places. I mean, that's just the way it goes. It's a streaming situation, AJ.
And you know what? I give Smith the credit, but Andy Reid, man, I'm just into what he does. He just, he's always pulling out some kind of weird shit. He had that play where like the entire offensive line was standing up and they were pointing like they were making a call, and at that point they snap the ball and pitch it and catch everyone unaware. This kid Kareem Hunt, they had a graphic that he's got the most yards after getting hit in the NFL and has I think 17 carries of 15 yards or more. So all right, that's a guy who can break tackles and get outside and beat people. There's no flaws on that team right now.
Sharkandrick West had a couple of tutters last night. He is on the Pat McAfee show tomorrow, by the way, just for future reference. A little plug there. I'm talking to a member of the best team in football. I'm going to do an interview with him, talk about his life, and if he has any babies or not. So listen to that show tomorrow.
Are you going to ask him about Harrison Butker's nickname?
Yeah, the butt kicker guy. Andy Reid loved that.
Butt.com. I love that he turned it into a dad joke because he's friggin' Andy Reid.
Good for Andy Reid, though. He got run out of Philadelphia. Just run out. Colin Cowherd went on this run about Philadelphia, how they run everybody out of town and how they're all incredible coaches. And I thought he was a bit aggressive with the Philly fans. But the stats he was giving out for Andy Reid and how he got run out of Philly and now he's just finding a brand new home in Kansas City. He'll be remembered for his time with the Chiefs when it's all said and done, especially if they win a couple fucking big ones. He'll be remembered as a Chief coach, not the Eagles coach, and that's going to be.
You think they can though? That's the thing about the Chiefs, though. We don't know. They play so great in the regular season. I know I've said this before, but until they at least make it to the Super Bowl,
they have so many weapons. They have so many weapons. I think you need a lot of weapons to make it through the playoffs. Because if one guy has an off day,
groundbreaking statement there.
Thank
Pat.
you. Can you hit a buzzer, please, for a big take? Beep, 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 beep. Bird call, big take coming. If you have one guy have an off game though, they got 4 other guys that can make plays for him and win a game. I mean, that's what you need. And injuries could decimate a lot of the situations, but if you have 4 superstars, which they do, they can go. You can go. Tyreek Hill at any time is a touchdown. AJ, any time. It's awesome. It's like old school Devin Hester. Whenever he's back there punt return, at any given time, it's fucking gone. And you put him in offense.
You're right. I mean, you're right. And especially the AFC West, they definitely are the top of the class there. They should run away with it and get home field and get a bye with how they're playing now. But I don't know. I mean, how about the AFC East, though? I mean, it's going to – so you're basically telling me AFC Championship game is going to be Chiefs Patriots?
Patriots have a lot of ground to make up, and the Chiefs don't look like they're going to go on any kind of.
No, they don't, because the Patriots, the AFC East is not good. What do you mean? You telling me the Bills are officially in first place in the East? They're both 3-2. Come on now, you're going to tell me the Bills can compete with the Patriots?
Patriots, Jets, and Bills are all 3-2, and the Dolphins are 2-2. These are 3 teams that were answering questions about whether they were tanking the season. And I mean, Jay Cutler wins the game. Throwing for 92 yards. Deep into the third, he literally had 33 yards through the air, and he won an NFL game in 2017. Everything I know is wrong.
He's a winner. Don't get mad at him for winning.
Jay Cutler steady wins. On the field, off the field, he's just a win-win-win. The only place he loses is with the media. That's it. Everywhere else is a win. He's naked on a beach with his reality star wife. He's in a in a television booth doing zero research, doing absolutely zero research. He said he didn't prepare at all. And then a week before the season starts, just takes a quick 10 mil. Did you work out? Absolutely not. Here I am, just slinging the rock, making $10 million, doing whatever the fuck he wants. Jay Cutler wins all the time.
Don't have to be in shape to play quarterback. It's phenomenal. Hey, he's winning at life. I'll give him that. I don't know if he's going to win on the field anymore, but he's laughing at all of us.
So if Ben Roethlisberger doesn't retire out of nowhere, you think the Steelers can turn it around?
Yeah, the AFC North is not strong either. I mean, the Ravens are their biggest test. The Bengals the Bengals do have a ton of weapons, and they are playing much better now that they have a new offensive coordinator, a guy calling the plays, and AJ Green is an absolute monster. Just throw it up to him. When in doubt, throw it to AJ, and he is a stud. So I don't know. I mean, until you beat him in the playoffs, man, that's what I'm saying. For the great teams, the regular season doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't.
AJ Green had 99 yards on their first 2 possessions. It's the first quarter of the game, and he already had 100 yards.
Remind me that for draft. I'm going to draft him.
Yeah, I need a ruling on Dalton, though. Is it Red Rifle or is it Red Rocket? Because I hear
Red Rocket.
Okay.
It's Red Rifle.
See, I'm looking Red Rocket because in South Park, that's what they call it when the dog gets that thing.
I think.
I sat next to Andy on the plane, and I don't know who gave him the name the Red Rifle, and so the first day I met him, I started calling him the Red Rocket. And he's like, "No, it's not the Rocket. That's the dog boner thing." I'm like, "No, man, you're the Red Rocket." And so I've been trying to get this to catch on for a couple of years now. I'm hoping to get it out there.
So you want to call him a dog's boner? That's what you want to call Andy?
Yeah, he's a Red Rocket. Don't call him a Red Rifle. He's a Red Rocket.
So, like, the quarterback of your team, your first week there, you called him a dog's boner? That's what you did? That's how you wanted that's how Chopper and Pistol would walk into a situation, just for future reference.
All about influence people and win friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Andy's a great dude, and I feel like he should be. The Rifle is not. It's not a powerful enough name. The Red Rocket. Now that's the guy that's won 2 games in a row.
Should be a Red Rider. BB gun.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. I love that reference, but the South Park dog wiener thing is got to win the day. And we're going to do everything.
So Red Rocket, you instantly associate Red Rocket with South Park dog boner, not just like everyday life dog boner. Like, did South Park start the Red Rocket being the dog boner? Is that?
It was like a catchphrase. It was Carmen just get Red Rocket, and I think it was one of the early episodes. I think he was.
Those motherfuckers are so rich, by the way. So rich. Book of Mormon, basketball, South Park. They just crush those dudes, by the way.
World Police.
What's that?
Oh, my God. Team America World Police, the puppet movie. We're going to play out the end of this podcast, Vibs, if you can pull up the America Fuck Yeah. It's the greatest song of all time.
Fuck Yeah.
It would be the national anthem when I'm president.
And you know what? I don't think anybody would kneel for it.
Nope. People like that. Mike Pence would be able to watch a whole football game. He would be able to have tweeted out an actual current picture of him and his wife. Did you see that he did that too? He tweeted out that they were at the game and it was a picture from 2 years ago.
Well, I was about to compliment his selfie taking. That's so crazy. The next thing coming out of my mouth after you spoke was, we should talk about how good he is at selfies, because there's photographs of him taking selfies, and the one he posted that wasn't from today.
Nope. He was wearing entirely different outfits, him and his wife. Hey, how is the Manning statue, by the way?
I haven't seen it, but it looks good. Gigantic feet. I think from every photo I've seen, the feet are gigantic. But I guess when you build a statue, you got to start with a big base. So I guess that's kind of how that all goes. Science says it.
Where did they place it?
Right in front of Lucas Oil on the city side.
See, it needs the big feet to support the forehead.
Well, yeah, he made a reference to how he talked to the statue creator, which is, what's that guy called? A molder? What is he? An art? A who?
Sculptor?
A sculptor.
Yeah.
Sculptor. He talked.
What'd you call him? A motor?
Molder, because he molds shit.
Molder. Oh, mold. I got you. Okay.
A sculptor is definitely the right answer, though. Like the guy, you know who would call a sculptor a molder? The person who draws a line and it looks like a hawk. Rick from Green Bay. But
or the guy that or the old guy that calls them the old Freudian, old Mr. Freudian over there.
That guy said so many fucked up things.
When you see the statue, you know whose advertisement is on it, because there's no way Manning didn't sell the name and rights to that thing to like Papa John or Nationwide or whatever.
He is a pizza salesman and an insurance salesman and a Buick salesman, but it appears as if this is a straight shooting. He was standing in front of it today, though, while fans were going into the game, like a meet and greet type operation at the beginning, and then he went on TV with Marshall Falk like 25 minutes later. He was just standing out in front of it. Very interesting. I think if I had a statue, though, I'd probably park it right in front of that fucking thing, too. Just be like, hey, in case you didn't know, right behind me, this is me, bigger me.
Hey, why don't you, for real, Pat, I bet there's a molder / sculptor that is a big fan of yours. I bet you can get a life-size statue of yourself that you could put right at the front of the Heartland headquarters.
I think that's not a bad idea. And I think it means more if somebody else does it. You know, so maybe a gift for me for Christmas from you would be that. Maybe that's your.
Well, how about you? I tried to get your address 9 days ago, and you still haven't sent it to me. So thanks for that one.
I thought you were going to send me a piss bottle. I think I could just buy that myself.
No, I mean, multiple things. I got multiple things set up for you, but you won't give me your address, so.
If you're
it's
going to
fine.
send a motor to my place, I will definitely give you my address for sure.
And tip, definitely you want to buy your own piss bottle. You want to make sure that the seal is still on that thing.
I would never send you a used one. You know that. We lost you for 2.5 minutes during the show tonight. I'm just looking out for the show.
I'm a good pisser, by the way. I piss a lot and at a very long rate. Like
You have a strong stream?
It comes and goes, to be honest with you. This last one was a pretty strong, but I pee, and this is no joke. I probably pee 9 times a day, maybe 10 times a day.
Yeah, that's normal.
Is it?
Sounds about right. You think that's higher?
Every single time, though, is for like 1.5 to 2 minutes. I just don't know where it comes from or where it goes. And I think that's why my hangovers are so bad. Because I piss out all my good feeling,
Is it possible that your hangovers are bad because you're drinking a lot and you're pissing because you're drinking a lot? Kind of seem like those two things would be symptomatic of the same cause.
Now that you're pointing that out, it feels like that could be the case. I bet you Paul Revere pissed a lot, too. Fucking guy.
Probably he kept having to pull over to find like a gas station.
Almost got a Paul Revere tat. Almost. Like this guy.
Hey, he wasn't a bad guy. He just didn't get very far. That's all. He just wasn't
He's a loser.
The
Paul Revere was a loser. He lost.
I have a theory we're going to, a generation from now, no men will pee standing up.
I love peeing sitting down.
Some chance to check.
Dude, I absolutely love it. I even face the back sometimes. Like whenever like if it's middle of the night, like 3, 4 a.m., I got to piss. I wake up. I go ahead in there. I don't even turn around. I just sit down facing the back part, put my hands like this, fold my arms over on the back part, the upper decker part, and I just go ahead and just let it eat there for 90 seconds, catch a quick snooze, and then I do a seated squat back up, and then I just walk it off. I do that.
You know what that's to?
What's that, bud?
It's an AC Slater.
I agree.
Yeah, because he sat backwards in the chair.
That's 100% right. I couldn't have. That is the most spot on name I've ever heard it. Tonight I'll take an AC Slater about 3:34 a.m. for sure, 100%. And then I'll take a Grigson at about 8 a.m. every morning. Hi-oh. That's a shit I said.
Oh, that's well done. We probably should end on that unless you guys got something else.
No, I think we're really picking up steam here. We're really starting to hit our stride.
I'll go all night, man.
Oh,
It's Columbus Day. Got nothing to wake up for. I don't even know if we're supposed to be blogging.
Am I supposed to give my employees off?
Well, it depends on what kind of a boss you are. If you're like a
So
total
if I make them come to work, I don't support genocide, right? That's how I'd spin it, PR-wise?
Oh, there you go. Do you have any Native Americans on your staff?
We got a Cuban, we got half a Mexican, and there's a Puerto Rican joining us. But no Native Americans.
Okay. They all suffered under the yoke of Columbus and his continental-wide brutality. So, yeah, I think you ought to give them the day off.
Do you think maybe Columbus was suffering from being on a goddamn boat for so long he became just a grumpy person and just did bad stuff? Or do you think he was always just a terrible guy?
It's just of your times. It was the 1400s. What'd you do? You found people. You go, hey, look, slaves.
A lot of fucking back then, though. There's a lot.
Who did he
fucking.
find? Well, Columbus definitely
Pocahontas.
found the greatest PR firm on the planet at the time.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Poor
gave him to Paul
Amerigo
Revere.
Vespucci, though, he managed to get a continent named after him. I don't even know what he did.
Who?
Why did they Amerigo Vespucci? America's named after him. And by the way, they used his first name, which has always bothered the shit out of me. But I guess it's better than the United States of Vespucci land.
Isn't that like Louisiana is named after Louis and Anna? There was some King Louis and a Queen Anna? French?
Yeah, the French owned
Lock
that
it
for a
down.
while.
Lock it in.
It-
Louis and Anna is what Louisiana is. You're welcome for that. Fact check, by the way. That is true. I just fact checked it. You can do it in Jeopardy.
All right.
By the
I'm
way,
kicking
bad
around-
deal, French. They sold that for a bad deal. I think it was like $1 million or something back then. I think they should have probably tried to keep that land for them.
Louisiana Purchase. That was Jefferson. See, my dream is to go on Jeopardy, but I'm afraid if I ever did, I'd humiliate myself and I'd never live it down on Barstool. And I'd probably run into a guy like this guy, Austin, who might be on his way to being the greatest of all time. If
I am so fucking mad that NBC is not being shown in Indianapolis right now. My TV cable provider and other TV cable providers can't come to an agreement with the affiliate of NBC here. I am an Alex Trebek, Pat Sajak guy every fucking night. I've been watching Jeopardy for years, every single night. Still don't know a single answer every single night. Just get completely sunned by these alpha nerds that are on the TV, have no idea what's going on, all for a payoff moment like this dude that's been on a 9-day fucking run and now I can't watch it because my local affiliate is playing hardball with my fucking TV station. I'm sick of it.
You know, and Trebek's like super awkward interviews, this guy is spinning the gold because he's always got some bizarre story, something to throw out. Like the time he fell asleep at a Korn and Disturbed concert just because he thinks their music sucks so much. Like he wasn't anything, he didn't pass out, he just nodded off in the middle of a concert. Like I love that because usually it's about some guy who collects stamps.
So he only told that story so he could take a shot at Korn. That was the only reason. That's a made up story so he could take a shot at Korn. Because you only come loaded with 1 or 2 stories in those Jeopardy. That's like the Nerd Super Bowl. That's like the halftime performance whenever you talk to Trebek for 3 minutes. What story am I going to tell Trebek? You got 1 or 2 loaded. You don't have 9 to 10 of them. He's got these stories that he's got to have them on deck, and now he's just taking shots at people. I wish I could fucking see it. I'm so mad. I'm so angry.
It was going to be about this show and how you kept interrupting AJ when he was trying to give a game ball. Because you said that he looks like the guy from Florida Georgia Line. Is that it?
What was your game ball for, by the way? What was it now that we're here?
We're never going to know. We're never going to know. We're just going to edit something in.
Loose lips.
Didn't have one. I had a great one, actually, Pat. You'll find one next week. Maybe I'll give 2 next week.
I don't want 2 next week. I want 1 this week.
That's all right. Hey.
Pat, final question for me. Who have you been compared to that is a lookalike for you?
Brad Pitt.
Denzel.
A lot. I get a lot of Brad Pitt. And
are you serious?
Yeah, all the time. No, fuck no. Nick Swardson and Triple H.
Oh, jeez.
So I go with the new one that somebody dubbed on Twitter is Punter Hurst Helmsley. So that's what I am. I am Punter Hurst Helmsley. I got a big sniffer.
That's a good one.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's not as good as the Florida Georgia Line guy, I guess, but I mean.
Yeah. No one. Hey, I agree. Someone told me that a while back, and I'm like, hey, I get it. I understand.
Be better than mine.
Actually, you know what? I bet. I think Triple H is better than the Florida Georgia Line guy, for sure. The King of Kings. Yeah. Who wants to play the game? Yeah. Yeah, DX. Suck
Jerry,
it. Yeah.
Jerry. Yeah, okay. Jerry, who do you get? Mike Pence?
A guy one time introduced me at a comedy show and said who I look like, and it got a laugh. And then I started using it. It's never failed. 100% of the time. Mr. Smithers from The Simpsons.
Okay. I gotcha.
Barstool animates like this show when I was on Portnoy's that just have a Smithers head on me, and it and no one sits there and goes, geez, I wonder who he's supposed to be. Thornton doesn't look anything like that. It would be nice, because you know what would be better than looking like a nerdy, sexually ambiguous cartoon character? Fucking anything in the world. Spoken with one voice, and I can't deny it.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, what's your game ball, AJ?
You learn.
Police, the greatest song of all time. That's what it should go to.
What song?
Oh, you haven't heard this?